leadership by having the most powerful military in the world. And these are serious challenges at a time when the world has gone nuts. As I said the other night, there is a lunatic in North Korea with dozens of nuclear weapons. The Chinese are taking over the South China Sea. The Russians are trying to divide NATO. Radical jihadists are in dozens of countries across multiple continents. Iran is also going to acquire a nuclear weapon. And we're reducing our military?
Well, that was Florida Senator Marco Rubio about an hour ago, sharing a powerful foreign policy message as part of his speech to the Heritage Action Forum, hitting some of the same notes that won him high praise earlier this week at the Republican presidential debate. Joining me now, presidential candidate and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, fresh off of his appearance in South Carolina. Senator, great to see you tonight. So I want to get to what you were saying about the threats we face as a country in a moment, because it's important, and you got a lot of great feedback for your points on this at the debate. But let me just ask you, since you haven't spoken to us here on Fox since the debate, what did you think of it?
Well, just one more stop in the process of electing a president. I was disappointed we didn't talk about the national debt. We didn't talk much about the economy. And we had a 3-hour debate, and those issues weren't touched upon. And I was disappointed by that, because these are important issues. For people trying to make up their minds about who to vote for, they want to know what your ideas are about the issues that are impacting their lives, not what name you're going to call someone.
And speaking of the issues that impact their lives, let's talk about the foreign policy, because we've seen in so many polls in this election cycle, they want an outsider. 2/3 plus of the Republican voters are saying we want somebody on the outside of Washington, not a senator, not a governor even. And you've been making sort of a counterpoint, saying you need somebody who is ready on day one, especially when it comes to foreign policy. Do you think that's your best retort to that argument?
Well, I think the deeper argument is not simply what job title people have. I think the deeper argument is the Republicans and Americans don't want to keep electing the same kind of people. And that's the reason why I ran for the Senate in 2010. I was a private citizen. The entire establishment of the Republican Party was against me when I ran against the sitting governor of Florida for the Senate. And it's the reason why I'm running for president, because I know that we're not going to be able to change the direction of this country unless we have someone in that office that's in touch with what's happening in people's lives and closes this enormous disconnect between Washington and both parties and the lives of our people. And then when it comes to national security, look, that's the most important obligation of the federal government. It's the one thing only the federal government can do, is keep us safe from foreign threats. And it, quite frankly, under this president, is not doing a very good job of it.
But you see somebody like, Carly Fiorina made some very cogent, substantive arguments on foreign policy the other night. Donald Trump says, I may not be an expert on foreign policy, but I will appoint the best people. I have the best people advising me. Why couldn't that work just as well as somebody like you, who's been steeped in foreign policy for the past 5 or 6 years plus?
Well, again, as I think Carly demonstrated, if you take the time, you could learn a lot about these issues. But what's important is that you need to be prepared to lead on the very first day in office, to make judgment decisions based on facts and issues and occurrences that you don't control. Presidents cannot control foreign policy challenges. Oftentimes they're unexpected, they arise, and sometimes your adversaries take advantage of you, thinking that there might be someone in the office that's unprepared. And so my point the other night was, whoever we elect, and I hope it will be me, obviously, better be someone who's prepared to deal with national security on their very first day in office, because when it comes to that, there cannot be a learning curve.
Have to ask you about Donald Trump today, who was in the news because he did not correct someone who questioned him at a town hall when that person suggested that President Obama is a Muslim and that we have a problem with Muslims in this country. Do you believe that Donald Trump should have pushed back on that person and should have stood up for the president?
I do. I have before in the past myself. First of all, I don't think that's relevant. And second of all, it's not true. And the president has made very clear what his faith is. And Christianity, if someone says they're a Christian and that's what they are, we accept that. That's what it is. And I don't know why that keeps coming up. The truth is, my problems with the president are not personal. My problems with the president are his policy decisions. They're dangerous for America on national security, and they're bad for our economy and for the individual lives of our people. And that's what my big concern is with this president and his policies.
All right, last but not least, the news today was that allegedly your deputy campaign manager, Rich Beeson, was accused of assaulting Rand Paul's national political director, John Yo. There's video of it. He said he was punched in the face. The video kind of shows a shove. Here it is. Do you want to comment on this? Is this a sort of a dust-up between? What's the story here?
Well, I don't know a tremendous lot about it. I know what I've learned in life is there's two sides to every story. We'll let the local authorities figure out all the facts. It sounds like a dispute between two grown men, and we'll see where it plays out. We're focused on our campaign and on the things that matter to our voters.
There's a competition for toughness in the Republican field, and it could be that Rich took it too seriously. In any event, we appreciate you being here, Senator Rubio. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Senator Rubio was just one of the candidates on that stage tonight. And up next, you will hear from some of the others, along with Charles Krauthammer on what he thinks is the big story coming from this event. Plus, wait until you hear the new shots against Fiorina. Also, we have new fallout tonight in the story of the 14-year-old who somehow scored an invite to the White House after his homemade clock was mistaken for a bomb.
The person who built a clock and got in a lot of trouble for it. I built the clock to impress my teacher, but when I showed it to her, she thought it was a threat